Yeah. All right. I think we're good. We are good to go here. Okay. Just make sure the hair game's on point. Always got to make sure that hair game's on point. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sam Downey here. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, youtube.com/Sam Downey. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram if you haven't already, at SamDowney44, posting non-binary stuff, educating people on trans and the non-binary community with some videos every week. So, make sure to follow me and stuff and subscribe. Yeah, okay, so today it's kind of like a add-on to a video that I did a couple of weeks ago where it was how to support someone coming out as trans and non-binary, sorry. So this video this week is actually going to be how to be a great trans or non-binary ally in general. So we're just going to go over some general things that you can do to become a better ally and, support your trans folks and your non-binary folks. So a couple of things, really easy things to do. So let's get started. So the first thing is put your preferred pronouns in your social media bios, on emails, if you want to, in your signature, add your preferred pronouns as well, that kind of stuff, just add them wherever you can, right? So I find a lot of people are kind of confused by this concept. I've had a lot of people, I've asked them, I'd be like, yeah, you should add your preferred pronouns to your bio. And they're like, well, do you not know I'm a dude? Or do you not know I'm a girl? And it's like, no, it has nothing to do with that. It's more about normalizing the action of adding your preferred pronouns and telling people your preferred pronouns. It's just like normalizing that action, right? Let's say like right now, if only trans and non-binary people put their preferred pronouns in their bios and their signatures and that kind of stuff, then you'd automatically know that that person is trans or non-binary. And of course, like someone like me who is non-binary and openly non-binary and uses they them pronouns, like that doesn't really matter to me if you know that I'm non-binary. But someone who, for example, like a trans woman who is like looking to fully transition and fully pass as a woman, they might not want you knowing that they're trans. And if only trans people and only non-binary people put their preferred pronouns in their bios and that kind of stuff, you obviously know that every single person with their pronouns in their bio is a trans or non-binary person. So if everybody did it, then it normalizes that, and it's not really considered mostly just a trans and non-binary person thing. It's more of like everyone does that, and that's just a normalized concept. It's like, yeah, you just add your preferred pronouns. Same with like, if you get a job and let's say you're like a manager somewhere, you should always ask like everyone, not just the person who's trans or non-binary, like what's your preferred pronouns? What's your preferred pronouns? Like ask everyone that. So it normalizes that concept, right? So yeah, that's a good thing to do. Also, on Instagram, they actually have a section where you can put your preferred pronouns, and there is a little bug in the system that I figured out. So if you don't have a name on your Instagram account, and I'm not talking about your username, so there's the username, which for example, mine is SamDowney44, right? And then my name, in the name column, it just says Sam space Downey, like it has my name, right? So if you don't have a name and you just have a username, your preferred pronouns won't show up. So make sure that you have a name on your Instagram account as well, so then you can add your preferred pronouns and they will show up. It's kind of like a little bug in the system. Hopefully they fix it soon. But yeah, I have realized that a lot of people have asked me about it. Like, yeah, I'm trying to add my preferred pronouns in, but like it's not working. They're not showing up, right? And yeah, that's the reason why you do have to have a name, so then your preferred pronouns will show up beside your name, right? So if you have any questions about that, feel free to message me on Instagram if you need any help with that. Add those preferred pronouns. Do it. Just do it. All right, let's move on to the next thing though. I don't know, this is like a new thing that I've been trying as well. Use they them pronouns for everyone if you don't know what their preferred pronouns are, even if you can obviously tell they're female or obviously tell that they're a male. I just use they them pronouns for everyone until they actually tell me like, hey, I use he him, hey, I use they them, or hey, I use she her, right? For example, like, if I meet someone new at like work or I'm helping out a customer or something, I'll always use like, instead of hey, she needs help with this, I'll be like, hey, they're looking for help with this, right? Like I'll always just try and do that. And I've actually been trying to do that a lot more. So I think that's a good concept, and it's maybe a good practice to try and start getting into. I don't know, it's a good way to really support people and not really assume their gender, right? So this is another one, I always bring this up, brought up in the last video as well, but it's a good concept, right? Support a trans person no matter what, and make sure they feel validated. And what I mean, I want to like kind of go on that, make sure they feel validated. Like, of course, like, I would say like decent amount of people, of course, they're going to be supportive of a trans person, supportive of them going on HRT, supportive of them doing surgeries, that kind of stuff. But a lot of people sometimes, I find, forget about making sure they feel validated. So a good example of this is I saw this on my friend's Facebook, what's that word? What is it? Facebook thing? Timeline. Yes, timeline. Yeah, the Facebook timeline. They use they, them pronouns. They're non-binary, and they were getting tagged in this post. They're AFAB non-binary, just to make it more specific. They were getting tagged in this post that was, I am a woman, I am, strong, I am independent. Like one of those like kind of like chain posts where like people tag a bunch of people in it. And it's like, obviously that's a great post. It's really, really needed, and it's a strong post. But in the end, they're not a woman. Like, it's like you basically just invalidated their gender by tagging them in this post, right? I know you're trying to be like, they were trying to be nice and stuff, but they're not a woman. They're non-binary. And that's one of the things that you kind of have to be a little bit more like, cautious of and that kind of stuff when it comes to, because like I find this happens a lot with AFAB non-binary people, because a lot of people kind of almost like jump over the fact, especially if you're not looking to go in testosterone, you're not looking to do any surgeries and like that, and you're just kind of changing your appearance to more androgynous look, right? But you still are identified as non-binary 100%. You are non-binary. You don't have to do any kind of medical transitioning or anything to be non-binary. So I find this happens a lot. Another example is, if you're filling out a form for someone who's non-binary, and because they're AFAB, you put down that they're a woman, and because they haven't had any surgeries or anything like that, it's like, no, like they're still non-binary. And that's just something to be kind of cautious of, right? You always want to validate their gender no matter what. Of course, like, if you have friends that are non-binary, you're not going to like judge them on how they look or anything like that. But you always want to make sure, I've said it, you want to make sure that you're validating their gender, right? And that's one of the, like a really important thing, especially for, I would say, non-binary people and people that are in the middle of the gender spectrum, right? That don't use male or female, right? Because like in the end, like I find like, when someone's transitioning 100%, like going male to female or female to male, people kind of find that concept a lot easier, and they'll jump on the he, him pronouns or the she, her pronouns. But when it comes to someone going from like female to non-binary or male to non-binary, people get a lot more confused, and they'll still kind of drift towards their gender assigned at birth, right? And no, it's that person's non-binary. Doesn't matter if they're doing any kind of medical transitioning or not doing any medical transitioning. They are non-binary if they identify as non-binary, and that's something to make sure you consider, Don't mess with someone's gender. No. And another thing is as well, if you do have someone who is like non-binary or trans, it's coming to an event, it's always a good idea to maybe tell people or brief people beforehand, like, hey, my friend, they use they, them pronouns. They're coming tonight and they're non-binary, so make sure you use their correct pronouns and you validate their gender. It's always good to tell people in advance as well, because then it relieves the kind of like stress and anxiety of that person who identifies as non-binary having to like, go up to everyone and be like, hey, how's it going? I use they, them pronouns, by the way, and having to do that with everyone. Instead, when they get there and everybody's already validated their gender and already using they, them pronouns with them, it's like, it's almost like it's a relief. Like for example, even when at my job, like I didn't really have to brief anyone on my pronouns except for one person in my training, I think. And then I think she literally went around and told everyone my pronouns. And I was like, yo, like that is like so much, that was so easy. That was easy. Like, compared to me having to go around like every single person, like, hey, how's it going? I use they, them pronouns. Hey, how's it going? I use they, them pronouns. Like after a while, like that obviously would get kind of stressful and get kind of anxious trying to tell everyone, because you never know what people are going to say, right? Obviously, like everyone's super supportive, so I don't think it would have been an issue anyways, but it's also just more relieving that everyone already knew before I got there, right? So yeah, that was awesome, really. But yeah, like in the end, it's one of those things that like there are a couple of things that you have to do that might be a little bit tedious or might be a little bit, hard to grasp at times. But the main point out of all of these like tips and all that stuff is just make sure that you're validating someone's gender no matter what. That's what it really comes down to. When it comes to your gender, the only person that can identify you is yourself, right? Like that's the only person that can tell you who your gender is. As a trans ally or a non-binary ally, just make sure that you are validating that person's gender, any of your friends' genders, like, just make sure you're validating them, right? And that's really it, honestly. Like, of course, like people like, like I know, like, the majority of people nowadays, they are great allies and they want to support someone no matter what. But yeah, these are just some tips that, you know, you can do to become an even better ally, you know? So, and yeah, that's really all I got for this week, guys. Thanks so much for tuning into my videos every week. I really appreciate it. You know, we're gonna be doing some more educational videos. I'll do some like fun videos with you guys. You guys really liked the collab last a couple of weeks ago with Molly, so hopefully I'll be doing another collab with someone else or with her again, you know, in the future, because you guys really like those collab videos. They were fun. They're honestly fun to film as well. So I'll be doing some more of those for sure. But yeah, make sure to follow me on Instagram at SamDowney44 if you haven't already. Also, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Also, turn those notifications on, you know, ring that bell. Ring it. Do it. And yeah, that's about it for this week, guys. Make sure to keep living your true self, and I'll catch you guys next week. Peace.